Mr. Chair.
Call the honourable member Chris Tremaine.
I move that the question be now put.
No, I'm going to call Ian Lees-Galloway.
Mr. Chair, I have a few things that I'd like to discuss on this call. First of all, though, I'd just like to respond to Dr. Paul Hutchison. In fact, when he started to address my supplementary order paper and the lights went out, I thought maybe he was going to woo me. But unfortunately, I was quickly rebuffed, and that was sad, and I was disappointed. But I want to say, particularly on the second amendment on my supplementary order paper, I would argue actually that there is need to be quite restrictive around how those signs can be displayed, because I think although the intent is clearly there in the bill as it is written at the moment, the intent is clearly there. I think there is still the opportunity for a creative person to find a way to manipulate it, to use that signage as a form of covert advertising. And I just want to say, in fact, in a way, I'm a little bit disappointed that I've got the call right now, because I'm in the middle of a text conversation with Carrick Graham. Now, people will know who Carrick Graham is. He is the PR man for the tobacco industry, and we've been having a little conversation about what's going on tonight. And he has just sent me a text saying that foodstuffs will be, and pardon my language, this is a direct quote, foodstuffs will be spewing about my supplementary order paper. And I was just going to write back and say, really? Why? Because that suggests to me that maybe there is something underlying here about the way the supermarkets use this signage as a form of covert advertising. And if foodstuffs would be upset about my supplementary order paper, then maybe, well, no, I wanted to get to the bottom of why it was, but given that it's Carrick, I think I might know why it might be. And I think maybe if there is some discomfort about what my supplementary order paper would achieve, then maybe we need to delve a little bit further into why the retailers might be uncomfortable with that supplementary order paper. So I implore the National Party to reconsider their position, particularly on that second amendment on that supplementary order paper. However, Mr. Chair, what I really wanted to talk about in this call is the issue of herbal smoking products, because it actually, I think it was a decision that took a lot of conversation at the Select Committee. We all really were on the same page. We wanted, and in fact we do see, getting rid of the point of sale advertising of herbal smoking products as something which is a positive move. But I have to admit, my initial reaction when the Ministry of Health brought this to the Select Committee very much at the last minute, I have to admit, and I think that didn't help in terms of the Select Committee getting to the decision that the Ministry of Health wanted us to make, that sort of late arrival of this suggestion. But my initial response was, hang on, I don't think this is a matter for the Smoke-Free Environments bill, because this is about tobacco. And the Minister in the chair has really wanted to focus on tobacco, and I felt that this might be a distraction from the issue. However, it was a learning experience in a way, because I discovered through that process that herbal smoking products are already covered by the Smoke-Free Environments bill, the Smoke-Free Environments Act. But we did eventually come to the decision that because we hadn't had public consultation about what we do with herbal smoking products, that it was better not to include it in this bill, but to make a strong recommendation to the government that it was something that we wanted to move on as quickly as possible in the right, using the right piece of legislation. And I note that further restriction on advertising on herbal smoking products is something that the Associate Minister of Health, Peter Dunn, is wanting to achieve through the Misuse of Drugs Act Amendment Bill, which is also progressing through the House at the moment. And I suppose that reflects kind of the crossover where tobacco essentially is a drug, and in different times we might have thought that maybe we should put tobacco into the Misuse of Drugs Act rather than having separate legislation for it. But it does get confusing. It is a bit messy, and ultimately that led to, I think, why the Select Committee chose not to include herbal smoking products in the display ban. However, we did decide to include herbal smoking products in some of the other restrictions that this bill brings in. Mr Chair.
I call the Honourable Member Dr Paul Hutchinson.
For goodness sake.